Welcome to an exciting special edition of Liquid Weekly Podcast with me, your host Karl and Taylor Page. We are interrupting your normal schedule to bring you the news that Taylor Page has just returned from Shopify Editions.dev. Taylor,
yes,
welcome.
Thank you. And I haven't brought all like the little swag stuff or whatever just for this episode. I've been sleeping in this is what's been happening. Yeah.
Those of you that can't see him, Taylor's dressed head to toe in a Shopify jumpsuit with Toby's face all over it.
Giant footy pajamas.
That's right. Now you got a cool lanyard. And
this is the lanyard. They've got these cool little pins.
You are allowed to take it off at this point. You do no longer need the lanyard.
Oh, that's staying on.
Okay, you're staying on forever.
I'm gonna keep wearing. I also got.
Like
before I forget to talk about it. This cool little. I don't know if you recognize this, but this is from Ian and Trudy's design packs. Like their little backpacks with a little pin.
Thanks for grabbing extra one for me.
Yeah, well, so here's the problem, Carl. I tried. I didn't really try. Trudy would call me out on that if that was the case. But I was walking around with these, and people were like super jealous because apparently like these were like really hard to get. Like Trudy and Ian had only brought a handful of them, and so I was like, well, I complained on Twitter because Trudy had posted about apparently I get all this cool stuff when I complain on Twitter. Like everybody's reinforcing the wrong things. They're just encouraging me to complain more. And so like
that's Twitter.
That's Twitter. Trudy had posted like a hat like they had done for design packs, like just for them or whatever kind of type thing. I was like, oh man, like I'd buy one. Like that's great. I'd love to. And so Drew was like, LOL, whatever. And I was like, no, I'm serious. I'm gonna buy one. So. But I got a pin instead, and the pin is really cool, and apparently it's very, very exclusive. So I'm a member of an elite handful of Design Packs pin wearers.
Wow. Well, I always knew you were special, but it's been confirmed. And for those of you that might be confused about what's happening here, so we really are doing a special edition of Liquid Weekly right now, and we're just going to talk to Taylor about his experience in Shopify Editions. That is all we're going to do.
I got to go, and you did not.
I did not.
So
well, I chose not to go.
I know. It's not like they were like Karl can't come. I know you had others priorities. You had to deal with that, and that's you made I'd say you made the right call without knowing much because you're a really smart guy. But I wish you had been able to be there for you because I had a blast. It was a lot of fun, and I wish you would have been there to share in the experience. Now I just get to rub it in your face like you've been rubbing it in my face that you got to go to previous Unites. So it's. The odds are a little bit more even now. But anyways, we're going to talk a lot about me and what I did this past week. And since we last got to touch base, what have you been up to, non-Editions attender?
How do you justify not going to Editions, Karl? What productivity did you gain?
Right. What happened exactly?
Well, first of all, I'd like to make an observation. I'm not sure how much poutine you ate or what caused it, but this new snarky Taylor, this is interesting for me to deal with. So
I did have
I'm enjoying
poutine.
it.
That's awesome.
Did you get any beaver tail?
It was delightful. No beaver tail. I did not see any beaver tail, and I was on the lookout too. So I probably should have tried harder. Next trip to Canada. I didn't realize, Karl, sidestep here, how close we are to Canada. I mean, obviously you look at it on the map. You kind of have this rough idea or whatever, but it's a 4-hour drive to Niagara Falls.
With kids, that's like an 8-hour drive.
Well, see, the trick is to that, and we're supposed to be talking about you right now, but you've got me on a little segue here, or segment.
I didn't ask you to go with them.
But the trick is, for those of you that are traveling with small children, honestly, and this is a terrible plug, but if you can, buy them a tablet. And don't let them use tablets any other time except for when you go on trips. And then when you do go on long trips, let them have the tablet with headphones. Magical. It's like little kids on crack. Like iPads are crack for little kids. They were just the whole time playing their little games. Like we sign up for Apple Arcade for the month.
Nice.
So they can play games. They've got movies downloaded on there. They've got ABC Mouse has a bunch of these little like learning games and stuff like that or whatever. They love that stuff. So we just, here you go. And it's, Karl, it's the closest thing to a quiet date that my wife and I get when the kids are still in proximity to us. Cause the car is completely quiet. They're just on headphones rocking it. And sitting up there, we're listening to our music, like, oh, like, you know, or whatever kind of type thing. And so that's the trick. You know, just that's my
That's a good trick.
hot parenting tip.
My approach to it typically has been I drive, so my wife has to deal with the kids, and I put in noise canceling headphones. But yours sounds good too. No, it's good. Actually, I was looking into something called a Yato. Have you heard of these? YOTO.
What's that?
It's like a CD player for kids, basically. And,
cool.
It's super simple to use. It's not a tablet by design. Like, it's supposed to be like for folks that don't want to do what you're doing to your kids.
Screen-free audio player.
Yeah.
for the people that aren't polluting their children's minds with the iPads and screen time. No, this is cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure about it yet. I almost impulse bought it this morning because Amazon told me if I bought it in the next 14 minutes, it'd give it to me today. And who doesn't want something today? But it'll have to wait.
Right.
I do my research. So we'll see. I'm not completely sold on the idea yet.
Well, it's neat. Yeah, because they've got little like cards. So they've got books you can download for them, right?
Yeah, that's what they get you though. It's like $10
the books
minimum.
I was gonna say the books are like not. Some of them are not cheap, or they have like little packages of them and stuff or whatever. It's like $30-some or whatever.
And you can make your own apparently too, because all the card is like a link to something on the cloud, and it downloads it to that device, which makes you wonder how it works in the car. But anyway, so you can like set up cards that point to playlists that you create with your own MP3s, but you can't do DRM content, obviously. So
yeah, well, I mean, they're cute. These little players, they're really cute. Oh, they've got like a little card you can put in them. Is that the book? Yeah. This is neat. Well, I'll send this to my wife. This is neat.
You're welcome, Taylor. And for those of you that are still with us, let's land the plane.
We will talk about editions, but Karl first. What have you been up to?
Taylor was feigning interest in my life. Yes, in my life, what I've been up to. While you were gone, Taylor, I worked on some Shopify functions. And This was fun. Yeah, it wasn't anything too exotic. It was basically two functions that needed to work with a combination of the product tag in the cart and then also the shipping address. And those of you listening to me are going to, in a moment, think, wow, Karl's an idiot. But here's what I learned, because I wasn't entirely clear on this before. Those of you that don't know, if you're going to write a function that deals with product tags, you can't actually access the list of product tags because of performance reasons. That's the decision they made in the API. But there's these two, I don't know what you call them in GraphQL, functions or queries or something called I think it's has tag or has tags. I'd have to look up my notes. But essentially, you can pass it a list of names, and it will give you a Boolean back, true or false, of whether the tag is present in the product.
Nice.
And you can stack those. You can have multiple properties you ask back in the query. So you can say, hey, is this tag present? Yes or no. Is this tag present? Yes or no. Is this tag present? Yes or no. And you'll get that result is discrete values back. So that was pretty cool once I figured that part out. Again, sorry, it's obvious to everybody else. Took me a minute. And then the other thing was how to get the shipping address. So Shopify doesn't just return a shipping address, it returns an array of delivery groups. No, delivery groups is an array of delivery lines. I don't know. I have to look at the structure again. But it's an array because I suppose there's some future support or some additional feature that might be in there where you can designate different things to go to different places. I don't know. That's the gist I got from looking into it. So you can get the shipping address that way. But then when I went to install my cool functions that I had lovingly crafted onto the person's store, the shipping addresses kept coming back blank. I was like, what is going on? And Gil, if you're listening, what I realized was that the Checkout Blocks app, someone had that app installed in the store and set up a customization. And for some reason, and I'm assuming it's a Shopify thing, so I'm not blaming Gil at all. And in fact, I reached out to him just to let him know in case there was an issue we could track down together. But it came back null. And so once I realized that was what was going on and disabled those customizations that the merchant had set up using the Checkout Blocks extension, it all worked. So that was what I was doing.
That's interesting. Is that because too, like, similar to functions or scripts? I mean, isn't there a limitation of like how many functions you can have on a shop? Is that potentially why?
No, I mean the function was running. It's just the GraphQL query coming back. You're asking, how did I know this? How did I know that was coming back nil? Because you can't see it. So what I had to do, thankfully, the merchant, it was a test store they had set up. It wasn't a dev store, but it was one of their test stores. And I had access to their app section. So if you're to the merchant store and there's a setting where your app is installed to allow the developer access to the logs from that moment in time all the way to the past. And then if you go to your partner screen, to the app settings in your partner account that you set up, you can then view the logs from the production store.
Nice.
Which is helpful.
That's handy.
Because don't always catch things in test. So.
Right.
And they were all empty.
You probably could have saved yourself a load of headache if you'd gone to Editions, because you could have talked to both Gil and you could have talked
Gil
to
was
Nick
there?
Wesselman.
Gil.
Yes. And Nick is over functions as well. So I mean,
know.
I didn't actually, unfortunately, I didn't get to talk to either one of them. I got hung up. I'd seen Nick. I didn't see Gil, but I saw several people told me that he was there. But that was kind of the tough part of, just because there were so many people there, just like connecting with the people that you were hoping to. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So like Shopify.
Hey, I got an idea.
Functions.
Let's talk about
That's
Editions now.
Well, I didn't want to get into. I was trying to I'm working on bringing it back. But so that was your big stuff with what you were working on in the dev land was functions. That sounds super fun, Carl. Anything else fun and exciting? New snacks?
Okay. One last Shopify thing. I also had a feature where someone had added custom code for like enforcing a minimum order amount before proceeding to checkout. And they wanted that changed, and they wanted it changed, and they wanted it to be based on a theme setting, which that wasn't very hard to do. But it was fun to try to track down all the places in the theme where that code was, because it was all over.
So were they just using like in theme code, or were they using like the function, the cart and checkout validation function for that?
No, this was old school, OG JavaScript in a file somewhere.
That's. I would say I would do this in some instances. I've had to do this in some instances before. We've had this. There's a couple shops that I still work with where we're still using the old school hacky implementation.
Disabling the checkout button. Yeah.
It works. Up until we just need to obviously get that going here at a certain point, where I get the chance to migrate some of these things to the cart and checkout validation API in functions and stuff.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but those are only available on Plus Store still, right? Functions. Am I wrong about that?
I think you're wrong about that.
Okay.
Good sir.
Let's both type Shopify functions. You know what? We should go to Editions and ask someone. Oh, it does say there. Okay. Google's AI thing told me it's available. Wait, but then this one says that was 2 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, so there's different obviously aspects of what is and isn't available, right?
Yeah.
Cart and checkout like validation and stuff like that should be, because there's a handful of folks even now. So like for instance, like the cart transform API, there's a lot of new bundling apps as well that are using that instead of different things that we used to use to like, some hacky stuff with like the cart HX API to like, bundle stuff together and different things or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff that's using some of these things. Obviously some stuff that's like checkout specific, you're going to run into instances where you have that. Also good call out for, because someone just asked this today, a good call out for that too is that anything like custom app, right? If you're building a custom app that does something in checkout, like that's pretty much always going to be plus only. But public apps and stuff like that, that they can use stuff in different plans and stuff as well, kind of type thing. So good.
I like to think
differentiator.
By asking these stupid questions, it helps other people. So that's really why I do it. But
for one, it's not a stupid question. And for two, it definitely does. Like someone has to ask the question. That's why I'm in like half the groups that I'm in. I just need to like hang out with these people that are way smarter than me. I need to see what questions they're asking, because I'm like, I would have never even thought to ask that. That's how clueless I am about this. So, excellent questions, Carl.
Thank you. But yeah, that's what I did. And I gotta be honest, I know myself well enough. If I had gone to Shopify Dev Editions.dev, I probably would have felt bad on some level that I wasn't at home dealing with things I need to deal with at home. But since I stayed, I also felt bad I didn't go. So I'm an ambivalent. It's
not bad either way.
Yeah, it's like,
you just took the least feeling bad option.
It was cheaper to feel bad at home.
That's true. It was a lot. Woof. Yeah. So staying in Toronto for one. If we want to start transitioning to Editions, leading up to just the prep work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like just the prep work of. You think everybody wants that? That's like So Toronto was super expensive to stay in. And so thankfully, we got a hotel and stuff through like my business credit card. That was like less than half of what I could find other places. Everywhere else, it was like $500 plus a night to stay. Like if you wanted to stay downtown Toronto.
Oh wow! Wait, how did a business credit card get you a cheap hotel?
Well, so they have like these special deals or whatever.
Oh.
I feel like this is not a plug or whatever. I'll put my affiliate referral link and stuff in there. So I have this Capital One business card. It's like Spark something or other. We will link to it or whatever. Just if that is helpful for people, I guess, or whatever. But you should check this with your personal credit cards too, because sometimes you can book through your card, and they have at times like better deals. I find it to be really inconsistent. A lot of times it's either the same or more, right? And they're like, no, this is a deal. And you're like, I just found this on Google for like half of this. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But in this instance, it was legit. Like I think we only paid like, which is still like more than I want to pay, but I think this is just what it costs to stay at a decent hotel anymore, like $250 a night. Which again, more than I'd want to pay, for sure. But like, everywhere else it was like $700 a night, kind of type thing.
That's crazy.
And it was really confusing too. I have a lot more empathy now for people who are shopping in different countries and viewing pricing in your own currency, because I would look at some stuff and be like, oh my gosh, that's so expensive, but it's in Canadian. And then so you're like, oh, okay, like here's the US price. I'm like, okay, that's not as bad. That's about what I thought it would be. There was a lot of that kind of type thing too. And so I have newfound empathy now that I'm an international traveler and I have a passport. I'm 35 and this is the first time I've ever got a passport. So
yes, we know you're young and you went to Editions.dev and you're extremely fit. We get it.
See,
when I went to Unite in 2019, which was I think the last good one, if we can all agree. Just kidding. Well, because COVID was right after that, so that everything reset. Anyway, it was nice, but I got an Airbnb like just off the lakeshore in Toronto, and it wasn't bad. Like it was, $159 or something like that. But nowadays, I can't imagine. Yeah.
I will refrain from dragging out my soapbox on Airbnb, but that's yes. Those days are long. Thank you. Those days are long gone with the nice cheap Airbnb. Maybe, I don't know. I'm sure there's some people at Editions that found some sweet spots and stuff like that. But so I was traveling with my children. Like we talked about, I did travel up. We turned this into a business trip / family vacation. I'm gonna have to pay for a hotel anyways. They might as well tag along and hang out in the city while I'm doing stuff or whatever kind of type thing. And so, but anyways, we'd started talking about playing this all out, because when I saw Editions get announced, I was like, I'm definitely going, right? Because I've had all this sadness around not having been able to have gone to previous ones. And so I was like, I'm definitely going. And my wife and I were looking at it, pricing and stuff like that, trying to plan this out. And we're like, hey, like, let's go ahead. Like, we can drive it. And Niagara Falls is on the way. Let's take the kids. Great. Family vacation. Blah, 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 blah. And so we planned all this out because people were like, hey, like, everything's going to fill up in Toronto fast. So at the time that Editions is taking place was also Shopify Summit. So this is Shopify's own internal big get-together kind of type thing with all their employees. 6,000 Shopify staff. 6,000 Shopify staff are here at Editions, while Editions also brings in this new group of partners that's over 1,000 people as well. And so this influx of people, which apparently is not actually too significant a dent in Toronto. Do you know how big Toronto is, by the way? I did not realize this. I did not realize this. How many people, Carl? How many people live in Toronto? What's your wild off-the-cuff guess as a learned man of international stature?
Well,
don't you dare Google it. Don't you dare.
It's about 2.93 million, I would say, as of 2017.
Okay, so I
those numbers are old. Though.
Apparently, I am just like a small town kind of type person or whatever. Because like to me, like Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, these places in Ohio, they're big cities, right? To me, like they're huge. And we're driving into Toronto, and I was like, that says almost 3 million. Is this another Canadian conversion thing? Like, there's no way. There's like almost 3 million people that live here. And so my wife is like Googling this while I'm driving. She's like, no, this is legit. But the city's huge. It's amazing. Blew my mind. 3 million people like in a city. So anyways, 6,000 devs, another 1,000 partners. Not a huge dent, but like hotels are filling up fast. People are like, go ahead and book your travel, plan all this stuff or whatever months out.
The high pressure
sale. And then like the next week, they announced this pre-editions thing, right?
Oh,
with like the folks from Mantle and Gadget. They threw together this like whole thing, put together these amazing talks. We'd already made travel plans and stuff like that. I was just like, I'm just gonna miss it. Like we've already got part of this like dedicated to like the trip up's gonna be a family vacation. I'm just gonna miss it.
Family just gets in the way every time.
Just the worst. And so we did that. We had a blast. Going up there, we did the touristy falls thing. I was able to meet with another developer friend who lives really close to Niagara Falls, Adam.
Wait, you have another friend?
And so he's I have more. It's not just you, Carl. I have 2 friends and they're really nice. So, this,
sorry, David, you're out.
But yeah, David's out. He's gonna be so mad. It's like 2 friends. I wasn't even on the list. Jerk. No, there's so many people. I don't know. I feel like I keep trying to like stay focused, Carl, because there's so many things talking about friends and stuff like that. It was funny because I kept telling people at Editions. That was overall the biggest thing about Editions was meeting people in real life. That when you have these like kind of like when we got to meet in real life or whatever. It's like different. Like you have this like online like friendship relationship with this person, and getting to meet them in real life is just like it's not weird is not the right word. I don't know if surreal is the right word, but it's just cool. It's to use an older term that I use in my regular language that like feels like dates me. It's neat, I don't know. Like it's just really like I don't know. It's hard to explain.
It slaps.
It's like,
I think I've heard.
I am not saying that. I am not saying that. But it's amazing. Like as far as that was my biggest benefit to all of it was just being able to like meet and connect with people that, like I said, you do have these online relationships with. Just getting to meet them in real life was so cool. It was so amazing. I'm very grateful for Shopify putting on an amazing event like that. But okay, segue back. I missed pre-editions because we did family stuff. And that's cool. I'm disappointed next year. I'm gonna play better. Hopefully, I'm gonna start texting people and being like, hey, like, are you guys putting some kind of event together? Like, let me know because I'm making plans already. But yeah,
is there
I
next
heard
year
that event was
sure?
amazing. So there's not. I mean, I haven't heard, but I am hoping. I'm hoping. So make travel plans now, Carl.
The rumor starts now.
Check the passport. Get everything ready to rock.
Oh, my passport's good to go, just in case.
That's just for this. So
my wife, on the other hand, not so sure, but mine is good.
Oh yeah, just wait. It's like, oh no, there's not enough time. I guess I'll have to go solo. So, but no, that's yeah. I enjoyed doing it with the family. I wish I would have planned better or been more aware of the other stuff going on in the Fringe because I missed some really good talks. And folks had. They had a really good time at the pre-editions event and stuff like that too. I hope that they do host some. Like Trudy did a talk. I know there was a ton of other people that did talks as well. I'm gonna forget because I wasn't there for any of them. But I just know that there were several that I was like, man, I hope this is recorded so that way I can see it later.
Well, and I know we're gonna talk about the talks here more detail in a moment, but I'm curious. Like, is your perception that really how much can you get out of a talk in that context? Was it more about the relationships and the people and less about the knowledge you walked away with? Or was it both?
Yes. So 100% that because, so I love a good outline. I love a good, option to take notes, and these sorts of things. And so I had posted a snippet of I had sat down and spent part of my Saturday before planning making the hard decisions about the workshops and the talks that I was going to attend at Editions. So I've got this all set up in Basecamp, what rooms I'm supposed to be going into, the times, which ones I'm going to have to pop out of to catch the next one because there's enough overlap in some of these or whatever kind of type thing. And so we get there. It's the day of. It's awesome. It's amazing.
Describe the venue.
Start off the day with the breakfast meetup. What's that?
Describe the venue for folks that weren't there. What was it like? Was it a hotel? Was it a conference center?
So it was a conference center, and it was huge. So it's Toronto's this big, huge city and stuff like that. Obviously, with all these people, and then the conference center was really big. I was fortunate enough. I was coming in. I had to get in early for the freelancer breakfast meetup, and the breakfast meetups they had different sections of folks. So they had theme devs. They had women building on Shopify. They had one for there was one for merchant devs as well. So like developers that work at like a brand or a merchant, like an in-house dev. And they had all these other different like meetups and stuff for different groups of folks. And the idea being just like folks can kind of get together that like are in a similar space. There was a lot of like moving around in different areas and stuff like that. And it was in this big, huge open room. And then they just had like little tables set up. And just these little signs for like these different areas. And as somebody kind of helping run those sections, it's just my job to like hang out and kind of help facilitate conversations. But like, I mean, I didn't have to really do too much. It was just an opportunity to meet a lot of really cool people. There were a lot of other people that were just like already like naturally just like hanging out, talking to people. Everybody has so much in common, right? So like it was really fun. They had food like the whole time. Okay, so like at this big conference venue. Some of this like really fancy stuff, I didn't even know what it was. I was just like, this looks like I should have worn like a tie to like sit down and eat at this thing or whatever. And there were drinks the whole time, lots of drinks.
Diet Coke?
There was Diet Coke. There were like 4 different kinds of Coke. Okay.
Oh man. Sounds amazing.
Water, like everything. Like they had everything there. Kind of type thing. Different places even they even had booze at different places and stuff like that through the event and stuff like that. And so like it was a very like it felt very much so. I don't know. I've not gone to a lot of these, Carl. So as in none. Taylor. This is my first one. But like it really felt like as a lowly once social worker, I've never been to a conference like this. It felt like the red carpet got rolled out for partners is what it felt like, you know. So they did a great job with that. Then after the breakfast, you get into the main event, right? And it's this conference, it's this big conference center. And so it like, I imagine they host concerts at this. They did actually the night before. So the Shopify event for Summit, they brought in all these bands and stuff too, or whatever the night before. So like it's just this massive, huge space, this huge, ginormous auditorium, looks like an airplane hangar kind of type thing. It's just massive. And then they had different stations set up all throughout for these like little like talks and stages. And then off to the side, there was space for like the workshops and stuff as well. So they had 2 big workshop rooms. And so that was, I don't know, it might have been enough to seat maybe 50 or so people, maybe at a time, 50 to 70 at a time kind of type thing. And they would actually close the doors because there'd be so many people attending the workshops. They'd just say like, we're at capacity, you know, gotta shut you down here. So yeah, it was a lot. It was yeah. But anyways, way back to when we started talking about this. Honestly, my little planning outline and stuff for my day was like totally just like disrupted after the very first workshop. I went to the first workshop on theme blocks, and then they talked about the new design style layout kind of type stuff for themes. And it was just a fire hose of information. Like it wasn't really a workshop. It was more of like a presentation that then they get through this huge long talk and demo. And then there's like 8 minutes left. And they're like, okay, Coda, try to build like try to do these 4 things like with this thing that we just showed you how to do. And I was like, what? I just pulled down the GitHub repo, man. Like, what are you talking about? And I felt bad for the presenters because they had to cover so much information in such a small amount of time. And so they did an excellent job. Like they hustled through it and stuff like that. And so that part was really, really cool. But that very first workshop, I kind of had this realization that like, I'm not going to learn anything today. That's not going to happen. Yeah, I had this idea of like, bam, like this huge, you know, I can't remember who's supposed to be the person that said it, but it's like this idea of like, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth kind of type thing. And that workshop was my punch in the mouth of like, this isn't going to happen. You know, I tried to go even to the next workshop, you know, I'm lying to myself the whole time, being like, you know, it's fun now. Like I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah.
And then the next workshop, like there was a huge line of people because it was talking about the new products model API. And so I was just like, it's not going to happen. Like, you know, we all want to know about like how we're going to be dealing with like the 2000 variants and stuff like that or whatever. Like it's just not going to happen. And so a little bit later, so I did run into Adam from Wrapped that we had on several episodes ago. And so we were just like messaging back and forth. He was like, hey, like, you know, I want to say hi. Like, where are you at? And so like I eventually found him And so I told him about my futile attempt to like, like get all this stuff done. I was like, I've got like this like great little like outline or whatever. He's like, yeah, everybody goes in thinking that, but then the whole time just ends up being like you're just catching up with people and meeting with people and stuff. And so he's like, that's all you're really going to take away from this. He's like, you're not going to learn anything today. It's all going to be online. You're going to be fine or whatever. And so I felt a lot better after talking to him. Like, he's just like, oh no, like little
thanks, Adam,
little baby bird Taylor. Like, no, you're not gonna. Yeah. I should have talked to Adam beforehand, apparently, because like so it was definitely very different than I expected. My thought or goal is like this is like a working conference, right? And I don't know about you, but like I always have to have like tasks like that I'm checking off, like I'm doing developer-y things in order to feel productive. But sometimes just like getting to actually meet and connect and talk with people can actually be a form of productivity. It just doesn't feel that way necessarily. So I wish I would have. That was initially my thought. Like I'm gonna go in, I was supposed to pass out stickers, Carl, for ShopDev Alliance. I have so many stickers. I have so many people that I'm now going to have to just mail them to because I was like, all right, like I'm going to get you stickers. And I talked to these people and I said hi and like, and I didn't give them stickers. And so
you didn't like sneak them into the presenters' backpacks and stuff?
No, I should have been just,
do some guerrilla marketing.
Yeah, right. Like that'd have been awesome. Oh no, but I talked to like a lot of cool people, about stuff like that. At least new people that I had not met before, and kind of voiced the same kind of like thoughts about just it was helpful for that. Like this effort we're doing with the ShopDev Alliance and stuff. That was really cool to hear. Like that resonate with a lot of people. Cool. But like I said, I had all these plans. I had plans to record for Liquid Weekly, right? Like I bought a microphone that I could hook up to my phone so I could record, right? And I didn't get anything. I didn't do anything. I'm like lugging this camera bag around the whole time, just in my backpack, and so and also like this cool swag. So I got this is from Prakar from he's from Foxcell Bundles or whatever. Like he gave me this cool shirt. He had messaged me beforehand. He was like, hey, what t-shirt size are you? Like, we're bringing some stuff. Like, I want to bring you a t-shirt. And so he found me and got me a t-shirt. I gave him stickers because he gave me stuff. So I was like, I'm remembering the stickers one sticker, now.
That's good.
Yeah, he was really good about, like, he was, like, amazing at just, like, connecting with people. And he even introduced me to a handful of people and stuff, too. So that was really cool. He was I should have just like hung out with him the whole time. He was my buddy for that stuff. But yeah, no, it was great. I also got to attend. The only other thing that I really actually attended, again, because like all these events and everything, was Brenda. She has the Whisk theme, and so bring her on and we've had her on the podcast as well. She talked about building the theme and those sorts of things, and so she did a talk as well about running a theme solo, and so that was really cool to see her talk as well. That was the only one that I actually was like, all right, I definitely can't miss this one as well. I want to support my friends, my real life friends. Take that, honey. They are real people. I got some pictures, and I don't know about you, Carl, but like I'm really bad at taking pictures. Like other people are really good at like other people were like, hey, let's get a picture or whatever. And now that I'm seeing them all on my Twitter timeline or whatever, I'm like, I really wish I would have been better about snagging pictures with people. I got only a handful of pictures with people, and I really wish I would have done more. But like whenever I see people, I'm just like all in, like, oh man, like this is really cool. I don't think to like, let's grab a selfie or whatever. Like so many other people are so much better. People like you, so much better, so much more, so much more, experienced, and better at that stuff.
Well, Taylor, I don't know about that, but I can understand that'd be a struggle. So this was your first kind of big industry conference, it sounds like.
Big time, yeah.
Yeah, yep. So that could be pretty overwhelming.
First time.
Once you get through a few, you kind of get jaded, and the Adams and the Prakars and everything, you just kind of realize it's all about the sidebars, it's all about hanging out.
Yeah,
all about the food.
That's really what it was all about, the food. Yeah. Well, and I feel like I don't know, like if this might have ruined me for any other conference I ever end up going to. I can't imagine any of them being better than this. Like it was insanely awesome to be able to hang out with people like Twitter friends in real life, but also like just there were like tons of Shopify staff there. right? Since they're all in town. So like being able to actually talk to people. So I got a chance to talk to Patrick. He's over the customer accounts, the new customer accounts, extensibility stuff or whatever too. Really nice guy. I put a plug in for him to come on the podcast sometime.
Patrick,
so,
we want you.
I was doing a little bit of work and stuff as well. And Nick is also with customer account extensibility, so we might be able to get both of them to come on.
Come on, Nick, do it.
Do it. And then I was hoping to connect with a couple of other people, but it was cool, like I said, to be able to talk to a handful of people just at Shopify. And it was really cool. Just, I don't know. It kind of seems like sometimes when we're people like in the partner system supporting this big thing like Shopify, right? To help support merchants, make them more successful and those sorts of things. But it was really neat to be in this position where you could talk to those people who were Shopify staff, and they could also like empathize with like some of the pain points that you experience in your day to day, and be like, yeah, like we're working on this, like, or sometimes it was like a realization for them because they're so far removed from the merchant experience versus we're all like, we're in the trenches, like they're building stuff and making things capable, but we're the ones that are kind of like connecting those pieces together with merchants. And so sometimes them just being like, wow, like I never like realized this was a thing. And that being really cool to like just have them be there and that accessible, and getting that kind of feedback was very, very cool. Mm-hmm.
You kind of dinged yourself on that. Well, I'm not the kind of guy that thinks about taking pictures and blah, 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 blah. But Taylor, I really think one of the strengths that you have and that you definitely brought into this was just your, I don't know, you have this super ability to kind of network and understand who's involved with what. And so even you coming into Editions with knowing Nick and knowing some of the folks and kind of having a sense of who people were generally, right? As much as you can on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then being able to land that plane, so to speak, by actually meeting folks face to face and finding some new ones. Like, I think that's a real strength of yours. So I'm glad it worked out for you.
Thank you, Carl. That's
of course.
That's a very positive spin on that. So I'll take it. I'll take
it. It is.
Any
no, I mean, not everybody
there I can get.
Not everybody, especially in the developer space, let's be honest, we're all socially stinted to some extent. So that's a huge thing.
Yeah. Maybe that's my my social work background is just you gotta be not thrifty. I don't know what the right word is or that or whatever with your your resources and connections and stuff like that as far as that goes. But like it's always people behind everything, and so very, very cool to be able to be there with those people. So cool. no thank you. I did there were some people that didn't really recognize me at least initially, and so I know, right, like I thought I was super famous. So what I did was I wasn't wearing my Shopify .dev hat that I have. Like I need to find I should have brought it. But it's my Twitter profile, and I wish Shopify would have like put these on the little badges whatever or something. And so I brought the hat with me and just wasn't wearing it, but like I changed into it or whatever, and I was like instantly more recognizable because it was from my Twitter profile photo. People were like, "Oh man, I didn't recognize you with the hat." No, I do. So,
but it's probably your big muscles now that people are thrown off by.
No, it was really fun. You know how some people like you meet people and you're like online. And then you meet them in person, and you're like, "Wow, you are either like a lot taller, a lot shorter. Just you're just not. This is not what I pictured, kind of type thing." I think everyone kind of thinks like you're gonna run into people that are about the same height as you, or something like that, or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't really know. But there were a lot of people that were like, "Oh man, like you're a lot taller than I thought you would be." Whatever. It was like, "What? You should meet Harshdeep. He's 6'9". So
what? No, Harshdeep. Yeah, I had no idea.
Yes, yeah, super tall, and so there were a lot of other people that were like that, where it was just funny, like where you meet people and you're like, oh man, like this is not what I expected. But
that makes the pictures make more sense now, because I saw some of Harshdeep that he snagged with some of the various Shopify folks. Like, oh wow, okay,
yes,
he's 6'9".
Harshdeep is 6'9". Yeah, he's a tall dude, man. That's I had So, but talking about Harshdeep. And say, I don't know if you did see all of that. Like one of the big things that came out with that was the Shopify Dev Awards. Like that was huge to end the day. They did Toby's talk, and then with the Klaviyo founder as well. But right before that, they did these Shopify Dev Awards for people that they built like these really good apps. Like they built these great themes and experiences and stuff like that. And they had two big awards for community. And
how many did you win?
None. I won none. And so that was really cool to see from Shopify. Like, right, like this idea that they are recognizing achievements in the partner space, and so
Harshdeep won.
Harshdeep was one of 2 people that got a community Shopify Dev.
Way to go, Harshdeep!
This really cool Shopify Dev award. Yeah, right. Like, so all of his work in open source, creating like boilerplates and stuff like that. His even his app, Shopify app tutorial, his course and stuff like that. And in general, just like his presence online, like he's super helpful, like in every space that he's in.
Yes, he is.
The other person that won is Jeff. Probably gonna butcher his last name, Gunther. I don't know if you've seen him online. He's from the Beyond Space group, I think. Really nice guy, and so he's created a lot of really cool like build tools. Let me see if I can find him real quick. I'm sending him your way. Is it Beyond Group? I'm probably butchering all this, man. Yeah, the Beyond Group. Here, I'll drop it in the chat if you have not had a chance. You might have shared some of his resources before in previous versions of Liquid Weekly.
I probably I just forgot. Sorry, Jeff.
But super nice guy. I just dropped his Twitter handle in there and stuff.
Thank you.
But he's also done a lot of really cool open source work. He's got like a lot of really good opinions and insights into building on Shopify and stuff like that as well. So very, very cool to see 2 folks just win, not just for like, building storefronts or building apps, but just like the work that they're doing for the Shopify community. Shopify actually acknowledging like, hey, like all this open source work and community work that you're doing to help support other developers. This is really cool. Here's this this big award for that. So that was really, really, really cool to see Shopify do that. So in addition to all the talks, interacting with other people and stuff like that, just being able to be in a position where like you get to cheer on other people that like so Harshdeep and stuff, and met Jeff.
That is fun.
Talked to him about coming on the podcast too, obviously. So I was doing a little bit of angle work there,
nice.
kind of type thing. So hopefully we can. We've already had one award-winning Shopify developer on here.
Oh, that's
Harshdeep.
Right. Yeah.
And so now hopefully we can get Jeff on here too and stuff. That'd be really cool.
We must complete.
He said he'd come on. So
nice.
Hopefully he remembers me when I reach out on Twitter or whatever.
I just followed him on Twitter with Liquid Weekly.
Ooh, that'll do it right there. Bam.
That is really cool. I think one of the things that people can take for granted about the Shopify space is the community, right? Like the fact that people not only have opportunities to get together, but also when they get together, that they genuinely, there's just a positivity, I think, and a general sense of helpfulness. And if you've been around the IT space long enough, you realize that's not every community. Some are kind of toxic, to be honest. So what a blessing to be part of such a successful and open and acknowledging community. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. That was my thought coming into this field as a social worker, right? On the outside looking in, like hearing about like the business world and all this stuff, people being like really cutthroat and all this other stuff or whatever. And that really, I don't think, didn't really happen. I did get a chance to talk to Lee as well. He's now at Shopify. We had him on the podcast before. And he talked about like just his experiences in different like tech spaces as well, of like seeing that, but like it being great about how like Shopify, like there is a lot of that. There's this like camaraderie and collaboration, seeking really to be partners. Like everybody's just trying to help each other out, like being very open with information and supportive and stuff like that. So it's very cool to be able to be in a space like that. So yeah, and Shopify has to have had a hand in that, right? Like they've created something to that effect to some degree, right? Where that sort of culture has been able to flourish, kind of type thing.
Yeah, and I'm not, I might be going out on a limb here. I hate saying stuff that's going to be in the public record that I'm not sure about, but I would like
this
to
is recorded, Carl.
I know. I would like to think that there is a direct connection between that and the fact that it was all based on Ruby and Rails to begin with, because the Ruby community is such an amazing community. I think the amazing community of Ruby impressioned itself onto the nascent Shopify space, and it's just propagated to space and time.
So I mean, I wouldn't disagree with the sentiment. I think that is the one thing I really admire about the Rails community, and why I'd love to like really further my own knowledge in that too.
I got that course. I'll tell
you. Building apps. I'll say you got that course. Very affordable. But it's exactly how much money I have. That's crazy. So
exactly what I charge for classes.
But that it's just this idea of like being very thoughtful in your approach in those sorts of things, and that's one of the things I think that is a little bit different, maybe compared to other communities and stuff. So yeah, I don't disagree with your suggestion there. I don't disagree. Well, and I have to mention, I know we're probably running a little bit long here, but I will mention the after party as well. So it wasn't just like Editions.dev, like or whatever, but the after party was amazing.
Loud.
So
loud.
it was super loud. So we ended up actually on the terrace. So fancy. Like I said, like I feel like for half of this I should have been wearing a tie or something or whatever. Like, except for everyone else was also like just, t-shirt and shorts or whatever. But so we did these walking groups where you could ride like a shuttle over to Shopify's headquarters that are there in the Toronto offices. It wasn't very far from the conference space. And so, we all walk over here, super fancy. Like they even had this like spot where you could like check your luggage. So you didn't have to be walking around with your backpack and my camera bag that never got unbuttoned or anything or whatever.
Womp womp.
So check this all in, go and like some amazing food, like brisket tacos. Okay. So like any place that's going to serve brisket tacos is just like top notch. And like, this is just like, they're just like passing them out like candy. And I'm just over here, like not trying to look like a, giant pig, like just scarfing these things down. They also had just really cool stuff. Multiple levels. I just kept going up. I was like, this place just keeps going. Like, it was crazy. And so I did end up, eventually, because it was so loud or whatever, but there was this spot on this like outdoor terrace kind of type thing, ended up hanging out until the end of the whole thing. But it was nice because it was all open, and stuff like that. And so it was cool to be able to connect with a handful of people, on there as well. Some people that have just kind of like dropped off, for a while. So like a quick shout out to, I don't know if you interacted too much with, John Speed on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen too much of his stuff. Nothing recent, because he's actually kind of like dropped off Twitter for a little bit. Used to like post like really helpful stuff. And so Colin Feder is in the Shop Dev Alliance, and had just mentioned the other day, like, hey, has anybody heard from John? Like, he used to post pretty regularly about like, he was really good about like building and acquiring apps and stuff like that in the Shopify space, just like posting information about that building in public kind of type thing. And it was like, no, like haven't actually seen anything for a while. But anyways, John was there because he lives in Toronto. And so just, popped over, saw him at the after party, and just a lot of like really good, knowledgeable, about like the app space. Like I said, like kind of the difference between like building and acquiring apps. He had been in the WordPress world previously before coming over to the Shopify space, but he was like really early Shopify kind of type thing as well. And so that was really cool to listen to him talk about stuff too. But then after the after party, there were so many like little events all around Editions as well. So like we had the pre-editions the night before, and then even after the after party, there was an after party hosted by like these other people, kind of type thing. It's like, what? And so everyone, we went to walk to this, but it was at a little pizza joint, and it was just like jam packed full of stuff. So me, myself, like Trudy, and then Jan. So Jan Frey, we had him on the podcast as well from Conan with Jan.
He was there?
Got to meet up with him there. Yeah,
man.
Yeah. And then, so he's obviously doing great, and just was really cool to meet him in person, another online friend that I've known for years at this point, that I got to meet in person. Super cool. And then some other devs and stuff like that were able to like pop in, and we just ended up hanging out at a pub, because the other pizza joint was too full. So it was close by, like, so we just walked there. It was supposed to be like one of the first pubs in Toronto, I guess.
Ooh.
But then, I had to bounce or whatever, because these folks, like, I can't hang, like, or whatever. Maybe it's because I have small kids or whatever, but it's like knocking on the door of 11:30. I've still got a half hour
bed
walk
at like
back to my
9
hotel.
o'clock.
I do. Let's skip over that part. But they were all just still hanging out. And I owe Trudy fish tacos, because we got fish tacos when we were there. But then like went to leave, so I was like, hey, like I need to settle up the bill. I got some fish tacos and stuff like that. They're like, well, like you guys are a big enough party. We told you when you first came in, I guess, that like we're not going to split up your bill. Like you just all have to pay. I was like, oh no, like so I went back to Trudy, like, hey, like can I Venmo you or something? She's like, no, it's fine. She's like, it's not a big deal. Like I'll take care of you or whatever kind of type thing. I was like, okay. So the next time Trudy is in the States, I owe her fish tacos, kind of type thing, because I just had to leave. Like I was just like, whoa, man, like y'all are awesome.
Ohio is known for its fish tacos, so
they are.
She's in for a treat.
Okay. That's yeah, no. Be like catfish tacos or something like ridiculous. Like we don't have So yeah, no, it was it was amazing. We ended up staying one extra night, not in Toronto. We headed back and stuff like that. So I stayed the night, but like then we headed back just so that way the kids could play at the park. We went to High Street Park, I think is what it is. And there's a little like not zoo, but like an animal viewing area. So it's like a small zoo. They just had some fencing up or whatever.
Weren't there events the day after that people put on too?
There definitely were. And
you just pieced out.
I just like I was just like, man, like y'all are, like I said, y'all are intense. I was there at at the conference center from like 6:15 all the way up till late. I was fortunate to like have run into Liam Griffin as I was getting to the conference center. So he let me in like actually a little bit early. I just kind of like followed in with him. He's like, you're actually supposed to go to this like west side entrance for the breakfast meetup people, but he's like, you can just tag along with me. It'll be fine. And so I just following Liam around, kind of type thing or whatever. But yeah, it was really cool. It was just really cool. So. But yeah, tons more of events. I didn't even go to half of them. Everything was just all packed into one day, from 6:15 a.m. all the way till 11:30 at night. Just really, really cool experience. I wish Shopify would split it up maybe to like 2 days. 2 days would be cool. 2 days would be a lot more doable. Again, not even just from the learning stuff aspect, because there was a lot of like really cool stuff shown and showcased, right? They did do a little bit about that editions that kind of got announced. I felt like really last minute, like summer editions. Like where did that come from?
Yeah.
What? And so they talked a little bit about that stuff. They showcased some of the market stuff that they're doing, which was really cool. They did a live demo on stage with Glenn Coates. So he's one of the VPs there, and was just like, it did not go well. He tried to do it live, and it did not go well. There was issues with like permissions and scopes or whatever, and I guess he was joking around about it, like we've checked this out. Everyone told me not to do this, but like that's fine. Like we're still gonna do it, and it did not work out. So that was kind of it was kind of cool. He really leaned into it pretty hard, So like it was one of those things like I know this is gonna happen, but so yeah, like all in all. Biggest takeaways, gosh, it's just really cool to get a signal from Shopify that they care so much about partners.
Sure.
It was cool that they spent, I know, right, there's somebody in accounting that probably figured out like the amount of time all the different people that they had, all the staff that they had, like just communicating to partners for the day or whatever. And I'm sure that was a huge chunk of change, probably comparable to whatever it cost them to rent out the conference center, right? Like they're paying all these engineers who you get to talk to firsthand, or whatever. So in addition to feeling like the red carpet was rolled out, just Shopify staff just being super chill about, you talking to them about stuff or whatever kind of type thing. Like, that was really cool. So it was a very nice nod to Shopify partners as far as, saying like, hey, like, we see you guys and we're invested in this just as much as you are. We're trying to make things better. They're pretty cool too about like they don't always get things right necessarily, but like they're gonna keep working on innovating and making things better. And so I think that there's a little bit of back and forth with the new design style layouts or whatever. There's some like really heated GitHub discussions going on right now about it. And I think that's good. Like they debuted it like at Editions, really. It just like rolled out of nowhere. And there's obviously some really strong opinions about it, so it'll be really cool to see. We'll drop links to that here in this as well. But overall, amazing experience. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Hopefully, the only thing that could have made it better, Carl, is if you were there.
Well, I'd like to think there were other things that could have made it better too, but thanks for the sentiment. So Taylor, as we wrap up here, I think what's on everyone's mind that wasn't there, and maybe even some that were, because like you said, it was hard to engage with it. Is there going to be any material, any access to recordings, anything at all to help communicate some of the cool information that was shared there to the rest of us that you're aware
so
of?
At least as far as like the workshops and stuff, I saw recording equipment and stuff like in those spaces and stuff, and so I don't know. There were talks about like some of the talks like on the stages and stuff like that being made available after the fact, but not necessarily the workshops. However, there are so in the partner Slack, there are links to that as well. So if you're in the partner Slack, there were different Editions channels set up for the different workshops. And so if you have not signed up to those, go ahead and drop into those. I don't think we can direct link to those or whatever, but I'll try to make some notes about the different channels that are available. So like if you're not signed up for that, do that, because resources and different things were dropped into there. There's also some discussion back and forth as well. Now, as far as like recordings being made available after the fact, from what I have seen, the public facing communication was no, not really. We're not going to make that stuff available necessarily. However, I do feel like there's going to have to be something, because even like me being there, even like I still need a recording, and I was there. You know what I mean? Right. So like I think maybe they're going to have to make something available, right? Like they just have to.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate you sharing your experience and jumping in for this exciting special edition. And it sounds like a wonderful time. I'm glad you were able to make it.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm really grateful. I really hope there's another one of these next year. It was a blast.
Cool. And maybe we'll go together. Maybe we'll drive together next time. We'll leave our families at home.
Carpool.
Road trip it. Yeah, carpool.
Yes.
I'll give you a tablet. Just keep quiet. And it'll be good.
No, I might get this little Yotto player, so I can listen to my books on tape.
All right. Well, thank you, Taylor.
For
Talk
sure.
to you later.
Yep. See you next time.
Next time. I think we need a tagline, an ending thing.
We do. We need something better. Yeah.
Until we see you again, stay shoppy.
Stay shoppy. That was good. I like that.
That's good. Right?
That's good.
That's good.
No. You killed it.
Of the award-winning Shopify developer, straight back from Toronto after 30 days of travel, Harshdeep. Welcome back, Harshdeep. It's kind of weird.
It's not weird. I just like talking like that.
That's
yeah.
This the whole podcast like this. So Harshdeep, you're like leaning forward a little bit with all the pins that you have on your sweatshirt there. Like, are you going to be able to make it the whole time? You think? We'll have to keep it short.
Guess. I mean, I was going to put on more, but people didn't give me enough pins to actually wear. So if you're seeing this, please send me pins.
Right, send the pins, or we'll continue to bemoan how there wasn't enough merch from Shopify.
Oh, yeah.
It's like at least a supply set up or something. Like I'd have bought all the pins.
Oh, without a doubt. Like that was something that I was so looking forward to, and there was no Shopify supply set up. Now it's like this is the one thing where you can actually get me to really get all of the words, but okay.
Right.
You said bad putting pins on your clothes, though. They leave little holes. I hate putting pins in my clothes.
But it's fine.
It's fine.
That's what it's all about, right? Like, you sit here and you're like, hey, I have this bunch of stuff. Like, it's not about the holes in your clothes, it's the friends you made along the way.
That's the pinholes themselves are badges of honor, Carl. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So
without a doubt.
Okay, yes. Okay, I'm sorry.
If you would have gone to Editions, you would know.
Oh, there it is. We're 2 minutes into this thing. Okay, click you two. I agreed to be here because I support Harshdeep, but if you're going to malign me for the fact I didn't travel the 5 hours...
Gang up on Carl time.
Yeah.
This is gang up on Carl time.
Hey, but seriously though, tell us about this award thing before we get too off track. So that's a pretty big deal. Like you were on stage and people took pictures with you, and what's that all about? Why?
Why
not me?
Honestly, it was a super insane experience altogether. Like, the first thing was I was late to the green room, almost 10 minutes, because I was giving feedback to one of the PMs. They're like, hey, but you're going to be late. I'm like, it's fine. 5 minutes, to deal with the time over and over again. Like, literally, there was a point I'm like, oh, yeah, you know what? Yeah, this is great. Oh, no, I don't think this is fine. Like, literally, that's how I was talking. Liam was the only one with my phone number. He calls me. He's like, dude, where are you? Get to it right now. Everyone's here. And I'm like, okay, PM, I'll just quickly run. And I don't remember who, but someone also came rushing. And they were so scared. They're like, oh, thank God I finally found you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm rushing towards the green room. And I go there running. Everyone's there, right? Nadia's there, and Toby's there. And so I rush in. He's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you around on Twitter," and I'm like, "Oh." He doesn't follow me, but he actually sees my tweets. Then we go to the backstage after a little bit of briefing on like what's going to happen. And in the backstage, they tell us like, "Hey, so the awards aren't like ready. They're going to ship it out to us in August." And they're like, "Hey, so you're going to get it in August. It's very difficult to make." And they had like two pieces. One was on stage and one was backstage, like proper kissing and all. So I was like, no one wanted to see it. I was like, I want to see and hold it. Like, screw you guys. I was like, just look everywhere, like somewhere else. I'll take a look at it. It's so beautiful. Like,
it looked really nice.
It is. Like, maybe because I am getting one, so it's like, oh, hey, you know what? This means more to me than the ones that the merchants get. But I was like, nah, this feels different just for the feel of it. And with the beautiful typing on the S, every single thing about it, it was so amazing. And then Harley comes around. He comes, shakes my hand. He's like, "Oh, hey, congratulations," and goes. And I'm like, there's like 7 other people here. I'm like, why is this happening to me, right? So I'm still in shock about it. And Eton then comes around. He just like straight up goes behind the stage. So we're like sitting, and then there was a tiny bit of area behind the stage. And then he looks at me and he waves at me as we were like lining up. And I was like, oh, he actually like recognizes me, right? So it was like just that experience itself was so surreal because I talked to all of these folks, well, not Toby and Harley, but to Eton a lot about like I would say I'm lucky enough to be able to send him paragraphs. And whenever he gets time, because obviously like being the director of product isn't easy, right? And there's only so much time he's spending on Twitter, but this version of Shopify is so accessible. If you just open yourself up and like really understand how to talk to a lot of PMs, it's insane, right? And so I was like, maybe Eton wouldn't recognize me, and I was like searching for him during the entire editions, but like he waves at me. I'm like, oh my god, okay, like he actually knows me. We go on stage and like the app and theme guys are done, and Jeff and I are just standing there, and I was like, okay, it's happening. And we had a tiny TV in front of us to like show us what's happening on stage. And then they're like, now presenting community winners, Jeffrey and Harshdeep. And I was like, and then like met Eton on stage. It was like, because I know what was happening, like I went for the handshake, but he went for the hug. And I was like, oh, of course, like bring it in. Then hugged Harley, took the pictures. And because I was at the end, I got to like take the award back, and the backstage was all blue lit, right? And I actually got to take it back, and for that 5 seconds that I was holding it, all of a sudden my brain went from I did something good to this doesn't belong to me. This actually belongs to every single one who actually put me up there, right? So. It's insane because like think about it this way. There's so many people who do open source. There's so many people who do like talk about, hey, this is how you grow your app, or this is the technicals of it and everything else. But like a huge group of people, both from Shopify and the community and us partners, we're like, hey, you know what, Harshdeep, we actually like what you do, and you should be actually up there, right? And I almost had a breakdown at that point of time. And even when I came back to the hotel, I genuinely cried for like 5 straight minutes because it was just like, okay, this is the huge physical manifestation of every single person who has helped me put up there. Right? I was like, it's not just me who's on the stage, it's actually all of you all who helped me get on there. And yeah, like I couldn't be more thankful getting the Build Award, because I didn't get it because I built the best app or the best storefront or the best theme. It was purely like, hey, people actually care about you, right? And then there's also this thing that I created so many versions of me in the past to be like, hey, one of these versions would be liked by people. Turns out just saying screw it and being completely myself and just toning down a lot of expletives that I use when talking. Obviously, can't drop the F bomb every single way, but like I was like, yeah, like so many versions of me were created, but like all I had to do was just be me, and eventually people found me, and they're like, hey, you know what? You're fine enough, right? And yeah, so like the whole experience was very surreal. Even the Twitter messages and the LinkedIn posts and the Twitter, quotes after that, I was just like, okay, like this is more valuable. Like at this point, even if they don't send me the award, I'm like, I'm fine. So the people really going like, hey, you know what?
You can send it to me instead. That's
Oh yeah,
well, I was gonna say you should cut it up into pieces, little pieces. Send them to all of us, and then we'll turn them into pins, and we'll all have pins that were part of making Harshdeep.
That's a good idea.
Will you actually wear it?
Yeah.
On like a hat or something. Am I going to put a hole in this Under Armour T-shirt? Are you kidding me? Actually, this is REI. I wear REI.
I'll buy you a new T-shirt too, God. It's fine.
I was going to say, we need to get him a T-shirt too.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Like such a cool perspective that you have on that. And I know you've talked about this a little bit too. And every open source maintainer in general has just talked about like the frustration and stuff that so, I mean, I definitely hope you're giving yourself enough of a pat on the back for like all the hard work you've done here. But just how hard it is to like maintain open source, deal with people who, think you should be doing everything for them and all this other stuff. And it's not just for the open source, obviously. It's, you're just insanely helpful in every space that you're in. And so it couldn't have gone to a more deserving person. So I'm glad you're getting the award.
Thanks so much.
Your perspective on it is really cool. I'm really interested. So how did you, because obviously, you knew you were getting it before you showed up. So like, how did you find out? How did you react when you found out about it? And did the award live up to like the thought process you had? Like, were you like, did you have something imagined ahead of time? And you're like, oh no, this is even better. Or you're like, like whatever.
So when I got the email, like 3-4 Shopify people on there, and the email said, congratulations, Harshdeep. And I have this auto flagger. So it was like, hey, it's a Shopify email, so flag it as green. So I was like, okay, it's legit. I was like, congratulations. Nice. I was taking a shower at that point, right? So it's somewhere in the evening. And I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. I'm like taking a look at it, and I screamed so loud that mom was like, okay, hey, are you okay? Do I have to break in? I'm like, no, it's fine. I messaged Liam immediately. I'm like, took a screenshot, sent it to him. I'm like, hey, Liam, can you please double check if this is real? And he's like, oh, hey, congratulations. I knew you were the finalist, but like, congratulations.
That's awesome.
I just sat there. I was just like, okay, like, I need to like really soak it in while being soaked in. And I was just like, please don't fall. Please don't faint. It's going to be very dangerous. You have to make it there. And almost didn't make it to Editions. Like, you know about it. And it was just like, hey, you know what? I need a breather. I deserve a breather. So it was less about the award and more about, okay, hey, you know what? Let's actually go out there and meet all the folks, because now I also have a new excuse to go there, because I just came back from Canada, right? And like, I would say I never even imagined how good it actually felt to be on stage. And I am one of those people who actually doesn't really care about awards and accolades. I'm just like, I'm happy with the way I am. But like there was no expectation as such, like, oh, it's going to be like this or it's going to be like that. But like it was like, I can't really put it in words how amazing it felt that, again, the award wasn't for me. It was actually for everyone else that they just gave it to. So, and as far as open source stuff is concerned, I learned a lot about this from talking to Shopify's PMs, because they're very clear about it, right? So when you talk to a lot of PMs, they'll be like, okay, so we get where you're going with this, but this is not what you want. This is what you want. And all of a sudden you're like, that's actually like, you're correct. Like, you know this better than I do, like even what I want. And which makes sense of why they are PMs. And I was talking to one and they're like, listen, just say no by default unless something actually excites you. And so if you were to actually take a look at all the PRs, I reject every single one of them because I'm like, nothing really makes sense so far. Right? And that actually worked out very well because saying no by default means people really have to convince you why a certain change has to be made. And turns out that ends up with you winning awards and huge discoverability and people actually like your stuff, when you maintain super tight control on it. So, and I was like, you know what, if a great contribution comes in that really aligns with like where this is headed, great. If not, it's no by default. And yeah, like, go on, sorry.
Harshdeep, I realize a lot of people listening, they might not realize what stuff you're talking about. So can you tell us a little bit about your open source projects and how they're useful to people?
Yeah, so I maintain 2 app starters, one in Moon, which is Mongo, Express, React, and Node, and the other in Next.js with Prisma. So essentially the idea is if you're scaffolding a new app, which I do a lot because I do a lot of custom apps, you can just pull one of these. You have all of the middlewares exposed so you can see how everything functions. You don't have to maintain multiple configuration files and everything is built via EAP. Comes in with documentation, comes in with an hour-long video explaining the entire repository, along with a bunch of other, like there's also a paid course that I do not like to promote a lot. Like it's not for everyone, honestly. But it's like, if you're a Moon developer or a Next.js or Prisma developer, you can pick up on it immediately because it follows all of those conventions. And while this is happening, there's also a playground repository, which mocks up the Shopify admin UI. And it's completely built in Polaris. So if you're like me and who likes to go offline very often, just to like avoid distractions, you can build all of your UI offline and then just copy paste into the repositories. And there's a bunch of other helper utilities that help me, let's say, create types for webhooks and throw it in there, like in both the repositories. So that is essentially what my current open source offerings are.
Wow. Yeah. And do you have a lot of folks that use that you're aware of in projects?
Oh, yeah. I actually ran an account. In Editions, they were like, hey, there's about 13,000 apps now. I know of about 900-ish apps. So almost like rounding off, almost 1,000 of those 13,000 apps use either of my starters. Or they have heavily relied on it to build their own. But I still like to count that as mine because you're literally picking up 50% of the stuff. And I'm like, yep, that's a plus one. But yeah, like just being able to
hundreds of stars on those repos. So which means there's definitely more people still taking a look too.
Yeah.
So you power basically 1/10 of the entire app store is what I hear.
Almost, yes. Which is insane. Like if you think about it, I started the open source repositories. I mean, yeah, I won an award for it, so obviously it's worth something. No, but like, just like sitting down and looking at it, this was something that was just for me because I scaffold a lot of apps, doing a lot of custom apps, to really helping so many people out build entire businesses. And like, someone actually has like 4 or 5 apps. They're like, hey, 4 use your Moon and 1 is on Next.js. And I'm like, wow, you're actually building with my stuff. And it's insane. So yeah, like that's there.
Just imagine, you could probably be powering maybe 50% of the App Store if you put out a Rails template. I'm just saying, I think people are hungry for that. I know there's some other ones out there. We got to get Kira on the show sometime. But
oh yeah, I think Kira's Rails template is like super amazing. I am not so good with Armor, but I did take a look at it and I was like, okay, wow, like you're doing some absolutely amazing stuff. And I'm sure he would have great numbers too. And he is the one who can actually pull it to 50%. I'm very happy with people coming and be like, oh, hey, I use your stuff. I'm like, okay, thanks. If you need any help, let me know. So yeah, like I'm very happy with where I am right now. So yeah.
That's cool.
And I mean, so as far as like the open source stuff, because this is something you've been grinding on for years at this point, putting in the time, the effort.
Issues.
Yeah. And so, obviously people are going to see the awards and they're going to be taking a look at, I want to be. I mean, we all say this to ourselves every day, probably at least once. I want to be more like Harshdeep. And so, what do you say for other people that are like looking at these awards? They're saying all this cool stuff, and they're saying like this is like what I'm aspiring to. You know, you have this idea or concept that there are developers now. You're an award-winning Shopify developer here, and so what are you going to say to people who ask about that? Like, hey, I also want to be an award-winning Shopify developer. I also want to be like that. What are your tips, your tricks? Where should people be focusing on? What are you thinking?
I mean, if your entire goal is to just win an award, you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Because so here's the thing, right? Like 3 years ago when I started, there was no concept of awards. So we were doing it because we all really liked it, right? Like I'm very sure even with Karl maintaining his boilerplates for so long, he does it because he really loves to, right? And he's like, hey, this is my contribution back to the community. But if your entire, the dragon that you need to slay that's holding all of the gold is just to win an award, what happens after you win the award? Right? You're like, now you have nothing to look forward to. So your open source boilerplates are going to fall off, or like whatever projects you're creating. And it's just going to be another mundane thing to look at, right? So you need to have bigger goals. And one of the checkpoints along the way needs to be the award. So you should still be focusing on discipline and consistency more than anything else, because I know for a fact there's a lot of people who are like, hey, you know what? Harshdeep does this. So I'm going to like copy paste the exact same formula because it works, right? All of those projects for a fact are going to drop off in the next 6 months or next year when they don't win the award. Because, and this is what I talk about a lot. I'm like, you need to have a 24-month plan, not a 3-month or a 2-week plan. That, hey, I have a bigger goal to achieve. And if the awards happen, they happen. Like if I revolve my entire life around an imaginary award or a piece of metal that's there, now I have it. Now what do I do? Do I stop maintaining my boilerplates? Do I stop tweeting because I've, made it? Like now it's just like, hey, he fell off, right? So the entire thing is I still have more to do. Like, very honestly, I want to win one for the apps. Because it's just like, okay, my people put me up there. I want one for my work. Like, I still feel like, it's everyone else's faith in me that they put me out there. I'm like, it would be nice to have something that is like, hey, we built this app and that app got one of the Build Awards. Yeah. Right? So that's there. But yeah, like.
What app do you have in mind? You calling your shot? What app? Is the app already. I was going to. Setting up. Boom.
So check out Thing, not check out Blocks. Check out Thing. I'm very happy for it got acquired, by the way. Check out Thing's going to be launching in this Friday, on the 5th.
Wow.
Or maybe the 6th worst case scenario, because I just have to set up the subscriptions stuff. And Checkout Thing is going to be out. It's going to be the checkout app that I've been working on for a little over a year. In fact, not just me, the entire team at Theory has been working on for a little over a year. So it's really nice seeing all of that hard work come out. And I'm like, maybe not immediately next year, but the year after that, I want Checkout Thing to have a Build Award. And at that point of time, I am not going to be on the stage because it's a team effort, but be part of a team that won the award is all that matters to me. Like, I don't, like another checkpoint for me is I don't want to stop at 1. I want to have at least 3. So there's still at least 2 more that I want to figure out, okay, how do I get the other 2? Right?
Yep.
And so that's there because, like you can win 1, but to have 3 under your belt is what's like, okay, that means like, then I have my own confirmation that, okay, I am actually good at what I do. So that's there because I'm still in disbelief that I actually won it for my open source stuff. I still feel it's like, hey, it's just like boilerplates. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like that is still there. But if they give me another one for community, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it would be nice to have at least 2 more under the belt. Like, no, I do not want it. Like, just keep it up there. No, but like still, so a lot of
Harshdeep's
people
still
don't know
thirsty.
this.
He's still thirsty for those other awards. That's all. That's all that I heard. That's cool though that you're aspiring to like, hey, like there's more out there. This is not like the pinnacle. There's more for me
Oh
still.
yeah, I think the only thing bigger than the awards would be to be acquired by Shopify. Like then I would be like, okay, I can skip the awards this year.
That you
Like,
walk around with the
that's
Shopify
fine.
badge, you know. Yeah.
So yeah, like that's the only thing that would triumph my thirst for getting like at least 2 more. But yeah, like at least as of right now, I'm like, I don't think I'm being acquired. Like, I don't think Shopify wants to acquire another checkout app. So maybe we'll see with the other ones. But yeah, at least 2 more awards, either being part of the team or by myself. I would prefer if it's part of the team because that means you have more people involved behind that award.
Yeah.
So like to me, it carries more value that, hey, it wasn't just me doing it. It was like a team of 10, 15 people who got us there. Yeah, like that's there. So at least 2 more. Being a part of 2 more would be nice.
That's awesome.
Then we'll see. Then we'll go for the acquisition.
Maybe we can get an award for the best podcast guest episode. And,
That's
3 of us can share it. Yeah.
There you go.
With your editing skills, Taylor, there's no way we can lose.
I have to start outsourcing that. That's my editing skills have to step it up.
I can buy you a course. Like, hey, Taylor, here's a tiny gift. No reason.
That's
let's go edit stuff.
There's no. Oh man, yeah. All the courses. That's so. It's pretty impressive with what you've done throughout this time, right? And that you still have more still yet to do, and the rest of us are just trying to figure out how to even keep up, kind of type thing. And now we have this idea of just be genuine, right? Try to just focus on what you're doing. Don't try to go for the award. But let's talk a little bit about why your boilerplates are just better than anything. No, I'm just kidding. That's I wasn't gonna. But if people want to, I guess we've talked a little bit about like what people should do next, right? Just kind of go from there. But the biggest thing being like they should definitely just make sure they're trying to attend editions, maybe, and then they could at least get an award that way.
Carl, we're looking at you, by the way.
He's done with this. He's just like, no more.
It's not about the awards. It's about the joy of the work.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll be Harshdeep.
With that, what ended up happening was I shot an email to all of my merchants. We're like, hey, here's a picture with Harley with the award. I won the award. And so like, this is how much, like, this is a reality check for everyone. My merchants were like, hey, congratulations on the award. Obviously, like a huge achievement. Absolutely amazing pictures. We're seeing you all over on Twitter and LinkedIn. However, we have been working this, or we have been doing this. What's the status of that?
Where's my next deliverable? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's like, even right now, I'm catching up on that. Yeah. That almost like 10 days of lost work. And I'm just like, my merchants do not care how many awards I win. They actually care about getting work done. And they know that I care about that too. Which is one of the reasons why I wasn't coming to editions. But I was like, I mean, if you're giving me an award, I have to. I can't
really say
no. Yeah. Like tiny thing. But yeah, like
that's a good thought. Like the reality check of like, I have a lot of people ask about the certifications and stuff too. And I think we've talked about this a little bit too before, if that's like where you should focus your time. Do you think people would actually gain more ground focusing on not just yours, so some of the open source stuff you're doing? Obviously we're going to talk about yours. If you want to get into Shopify App Dev, there's obviously the docs, and then you've got the boilerplates that will help kind of, you're cooking with gas, like to some degree, right? Like it's going to help accelerate that part. Or do you think people should focus on things like the certifications and those sorts of things? We're talking not just to experienced devs or whatever, but people who are aspiring to become experienced devs. Where do they focus?
I think a little bit of both is necessary.
Yeah.
Because like even today when I do certifications, I'm like, that is a feature that I had zero idea about.
Right.
Right. So like that still happens with me. I'm like, after spending 10 years, you're bound to miss something. And if you're new, you are missing every single thing. So it doesn't hurt to do the certifications. Like maybe if you don't want to pay for a different story to get like the actual certificate, but at least you'll go through the entire course, because a lot of people have spent a lot of time and resources into building it and ensuring that it's up to date. That's one. And then of course, nothing beats actually reading the docs and trying it out, because it's just like, like none of us would be here if we don't do things. Like execution is 90% of the entire game. The rest 10% is just like reading about stuff and everything else. So yeah, like another thing is like keeping up with the change logs. A lot of people still don't know that, hey, you can just take the RSS feeds, funnel it into your Slack or your Discord, or even use apps and like have real-time notifications. Hey, this game and this game. And people ask me like, hey, why do you know so much? I'm like, just set that up. It takes like 5 minutes to go and to search for it, throw it in there, and like have it flowing in.
You're speaking Taylor's language now, man. He loves the change logs.
That's why we talk about the podcast. When we set up the Shop Dev Alliance Partners Slack, that was the first thing that I set up, was like the change log, man. It's so important.
Sure.
And I think I probably have that because I've talked to Harshdeep enough where it's just like, pay attention to the change log, Taylor.
That sounds like it.
So yeah, that's all really good stuff, man. And I do appreciate the insights as far as that goes. Biggest, before we hop off here, what was your biggest highlight or biggest takeaway from Editions? So I mean, obviously, sans the award. So like, we're not talking about just the award, stuff like that. You're an award-winning Shopify developer. That's like, obviously that's up here. This is top shelf material. Let's talk about like for all of us who got the normal person experience, for the people that did go to Editions, for all of us non-award-winning developers that were able to attend, what was your highlight? What was your peak?
That's a tough one, because there's some stuff that I can't talk about that happened the next day.
Right. What's the non-VIP peak for you?
Honestly,
try to suss all that out.
That wasn't even VIP treatment. It was just being in the right place at the right time, and everyone just tagged along with it. I think the biggest one was meeting all the PMs and everyone from Twitter and LinkedIn who I interact with. Like meeting you. At Karl, I would say meeting you too, but you weren't there.
Oh my.
And Taylor forgetting to give me my SDS sticker.
That's
oh my gosh, Taylor, how could you?
We talked about this, Karl. I had so many plans, and they went so well. And Harshdeep even told me, look, like it's going to be a big deal. Bring recording equipment, like for the podcast. So I lugged this camera bag around the whole time, and I did nothing with it. Like I just carried it around the whole time like an idiot. But anyways, so meeting people, particularly me, Harshdeep, that was your highlight. Like meeting the PMs, meeting people from Twitter, amazing, very very cool.
Yeah, like especially meeting all of the PMs and everyone I interact with at Shopify, it felt like I've known them for ages. Like meeting 2 PMs in particular, I'm not gonna name them, but we have been emailing and like talking on Twitter and interacting so much. Like it was literally like we saw each other, immediately recognized and went in for a hug as if we are best friends meeting after 10 years. Right? And now here's like a more award-winning highlight. I really hope that meme dies out in like another week, because even my mom's like, oh wow, you win an award and you can't do your laundry, and I'm like, listen, I just traveled for 3 years. Just give me a deal. It was like meeting everyone, all of that is fun, but like the entire thing of like, hey, you have pre-editions, you have editions, you have post-editions, and like you're meeting so many people, all of that stuff. Like it was just insane, the entire thing, right? And the more NDA related stuff was almost everyone I interacted with in Shopify right? And even the people who didn't, so they walked up to me like, "Oh, Harshdeep, yeah, we know about you. We see your tweets all the time." Like Toby said, like, "Hey, I see your tweets all the time," and I'm like, "Oh, okay. I need to shit post a little less." But I'm like, if he's seeing, so maybe maybe I should do that more. Harley was like, "Hey, listen, did you see Twitter's just all blown up congratulating you?" Or all the other shopper folk coming and be like, "Hey, listen, we saw this stuff. We discussed about it internally, and this person reached out at that point. And then you sent a huge paragraph with screenshots and data, and like, this is why it matters to you, and like to everyone else." And I was like, okay, Shopify is actually listening.
Yeah.
As much as we demonize big tech, if you saw what I saw, like, I can't even literally talk about it. That was such a humanizing experience towards the entirety of Shopify. Like, it was just insane. Like, that's all I could tell you, because seeing all of those people hard at work, seeing them take notes, being like, "Oh yeah, listen, this person messaged us on Twitter, or this person, was complaining about this on Twitter." They actually triage over it. There's actually like even senior leadership who'll take a screenshot and be like, explain what is happening. Right? Like if today you're like, "Hey, listen, this API is completely messed up, yada, yada, yada." The screenshot would be taken, a new group would be made, be like, "Okay, people, figure out why this is happening. Someone needs to reach out. Someone needs to do this." And like, they're actually listening. The problem with big tech, now here is my opinion. This is not what was told to me. This is where my opinion starts after
opinion on big tech. That's okay. Let's listen.
Yeah, this is award-winning opinions now. I need to stop doing that. Yeah, but it's like,
I'm here for it.
The absolute scale of what they are building is so complicated that what seems like a simple change could actually take multiple weeks to propagate. Right? Like someone told me about a change and how long it took to really sync everyone up. Not because it was just like, "Oh yeah, just go in there and change the string," but because that dependency was so huge that it took them a good while to sync up all the teams and get them on board with, "Okay, this is what's happening."
Yeah.
Right? So, and yeah, the absolute sheer scale of everything. Like, think about it this way. When we have 10 plus stores in our apps and we subscribe to orders, create and products, update webhooks, we're like, "Oh God, this is too much. I have to set this infra and that infra." And I'm like, have you ever thought about the fact that they are sending more webhooks potentially in a millisecond than we do in an entire day in that scale? And so it's like, as I learned more, by interacting with all of the folks, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give them a problem and let them figure out a solution. Because when I was talking to the people for webhooks, I was like, "Hey, listen, we need a way to filter webhooks." Right? And I'm like, "Here's the data. Here's how much it costs us. Here is a snippet. Here is a video. Like, here's all of the data that I could actually give you." And I was like, what would be really nice if we have something like functions where we could be like, if this, then that, and like do the entire thing. And then when it finally came out, the PM, such a badass, she just messages me, "Your feedback noted," with the changelog. And I was like, oh God, I wish I was like half as cool as this person. And their implementation is like a billion times nicer than mine, right? It's just like, hey, in the toggle, we're using the exact same syntax and query that we use anyways across Shopify, and no need to run all of these complicated functions and all of that stuff. Because I'm like, I know what I know, and then you are actually building the platform, so your solution would be a billion times better than mine. So it's like, if you're interacting with a PM, or if you're like, "Hey, I know, like, let's say Toby is the PM for webhooks, right? I'm going to remove all of the emotion that I have. I'm just going to give them logic. I'm going to give them facts. I'm going to tell them why this feels broken in my actual use case." Right? So what ends up happening is, when a PM has that user story, they would actually triage over it even if you get no responses. And I can assure you, maybe a month from now, they'll be like, "Oh, hey, can we chat?" absolute worst case scenario. Because a very simple thing is what I have learned over the last 3 years of being a little more public with my stuff is they are listening. They're actually triaging over things. They're actually like really into it. It's just that the sheer scale and complexity of what Shopify is today is you and I cannot understand it unless we actually work on that scale. So like it still makes sense to voice out your opinions, but without the emotion.
Yeah,
like
and
emotion is where you lose interest.
Yeah, and it's one of those. It's hard to like, because obviously you passionately care about a lot of these things, and you have firsthand experience. And I think the thing, and I know we need to wrap up here for time's sake and stuff here shortly, but the thing that was a big takeaway, and I'm glad that you called that out specifically, that I felt was really interesting in interacting with Shopify staff was they've got this like much bigger overview into the future and of the scale than we can even comprehend. But it did feel a lot like they were very interested in the feedback of acknowledging that partners are the ones that are in the trenches working directly with merchants, because they're very, very smart people working on these things, right? And it's not that they can't do X, Y, and Z or whatever kind of type thing, but having those real world use cases of, hey, I'm working with this merchant. This is how we can use it. These are the questions that I'm getting. And them hearing that feedback of how something that they could do could directly impact not just partners by giving us the tools that we need, but benefit merchants. That is something that it feels like they're very eager to hear. And that was a really cool to be able to interact with people in that way. So that's great as far as, removing your emotion from it and giving that feedback, giving as much, information as you can to be helpful. But those real world use cases, like it feels like that's what they're on the hunt for. And they see the value that partners can bring to the table with that.
Now you guys realize this. Actually, I was not at Shopify Editions, but just to add to the conversation, because I sit on the other side of the table in my other life, but Shopify is a company, and so a lot of what can determine focus, I think, is based on revenue and what drives revenue. And so you may have a really amazing idea that you bring to the table. You may even present it as nicely as Harshdeep does, but at the same time, you have to recognize that a company like that has to constantly make that trade-off between, is this going to be good for the bottom line? Is this going to serve the community? So not every idea we think would be amazing on a technical level is going to actually move the needle for them.
Yeah. True. Yes, it's just like, I think every single person at Shopify cares at least 1 billion times more than what we imagine. Because once you start interacting with the folks, like, I'm not even kidding. At first, I would demonize Shopify for a good while. But then actually being able to interact with all of these folks over the last 3 years and seeing what I saw the day after Editions, I was like, you know what? I was completely like, these people actually care. Like, there is no denying it. And that's what I was telling like everyone. I'm like, I wish more people could come and see what I just saw, because that would like solve half of the people crying about, hey, this is there and that is there. I'm like, no, come here, see what's happening. And then you would be much nicer and you would actually have your point set across. Like, that's the whole thing. So, yeah.
Of course, now you have to be nice, Harshdeep, because if you're mean, they'll take their award back. So.
No, like, again,
wait until you get the award in hand. That's once it's on the shelf, then it all breaks loose.
I mean, honestly, someone even brought up the idea, we're like, hey, would you auction it off for charity? And I'm like, yes, like without a doubt, because my award was actually all of the people reminding me how much they care about me than the actual physical award. Like that's just a reminder. But if I printed out everything and like just stuck it across the room, it would serve a way better purpose. In fact, what I'm getting done is I pulled up all of the stars across both the repositories and all of my Twitter followers until the 25th. I'm getting their names printed out and I'm getting this case done where the award's gonna be, as a reminder that it was all of these people, like just their usernames, who this award belongs to, and I just get to keep it for them.
That's cool, man. That's a really cool idea.
Yeah, so like that's happening, and I have decent amount of time to like actually properly get it done right. Probably giving the entire idea away right now wasn't that great of an idea, but yeah, like that's but I'm trying to figure out how to get done in a way so that, it serves as a reminder that the award is just the award, but it's actually the people who got me there. So yeah.
No.
Cool. Well, as we get near the end of our time together, do you have any parting thoughts you guys want to pass along? Any observations from Editions or admonitions from Harshdeep?
I guess that was it. Like, just like try to be a little louder by voicing your opinion, like being honest, removing all the emotion and being logical, as if you are the PM and what would you want to hear? Because they are listening and they are working on it. It's just not like possible to respond to so many people. Yeah, I think that would be it. And like, of course, can't wait to go to Editions next year again.
Again, make it happen, Shopify. From the award-winning Shopify dev himself. It needs to happen again. We're all looking forward to it. Carl has to go. Carl's got to be there.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want him to miss out.
I'll be there.
We've got all year to tease him about it, so...
Well, we don't even know if they're having one.
What's that?
We don't even know if they're having another one in person next year, do we?
They're going to have another one. It's happening.
Okay.
Without that.
We'll check back. Remind me in 10 months, and we'll see. Are you going to put your award in line? If they don't have another one next summer, Harshdeep, will you send me your award? You're going to place that back?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Wager you'll take?
For sure.
Yeah. Fine.
I'll send you a replica, don't worry.
No replica. It's a 3D printed
personally,
one.
Personally signed by the award-winning developer.
Ooh, there you go. When's the shop going up?
That's right.
Like, buy a replica.
Oh, dear. Awesome. Well, Harshdeep, I know it's been a lot of travel and a lot of late nights for you. Thanks for making the time to come and share with us, and we're so happy for you. And just a joy to share in that experience with you. So thanks for helping us understand what it was like and the thoughts that went behind it.
Yeah, it's insane, honestly. Like, I don't think I've figured out the right words to really put it, like explain it. But yeah, it's just insane to be able to do the stuff that I do. So yeah.
And I'll tell your mom to back off on the whole laundry thing. You need a little bit more rest.
Thank you.
Can't expect an award winner to.
Award-winning shop dev, yeah. Just got to keep those hands, all rested up.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Harshdeep.
Always. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah.
See you guys.
All right.
See you guys.
Bye.
Do that weird thing again.